Your tech stack is supposed to give you back time, help you increase profit, reduce overwhelm. And if it's not, then this episode is going to help you identify what you're ready to, what is out in 2026 and what is in, and how to make more money and get back time moving around the tech pieces that might be a current hurdle inside of your coaching business. Welcome to the Best Damn Coach. It's Amanda here. I'm so excited you're joining me today. We are talking about tech. You might love tech. You might hate tech. I don't know where you are, but my goal by the end of this is for you to value tech and to reframe potentially your struggles if you have them with tech and simplify them. I was talking with a coach recently who is coming into my world, and she was making about 12K a month. So I think that's amazing. Great revenue. And when I asked her, though, how much time she's spending in all the admin tech stuff, she said probably about 10 to 15 hours a week. And I was like, pump the brakes, because her goals are to move more towards 20K consistent months. So 15 of her hours are spent on manual tasks, moving data between platforms, copying and pasting information, updating websites, remembering honestly which tool does what. And then we dug deeper into her tech stack. If you don't know what that means, that's the fancy way of saying, what kind of technology do you use in your business? Somebody taught me that, and I was like, oh, that's cool. That sounds super cool. I feel way cooler saying tech stack than something else. And she had like 8 different platforms that she was paying, $30 to $50 a month for. And none of them were really in cahoots. None of them, some of them work together, but I call that a Frankenstein tech stack when you're just piecing crap together, adding one tool here and one tool there. And she had kind of this monster. And this monster happened because also it's like she wanted to add in, but she didn't want to go back and clean up. And so it just was like layer upon layer of layer. And she was feeling like she knew she needed to do the tech stack like adjustment. She needed to make some changes, but just like to go back and do that, it feels so cumbersome. And you're so inundated with the client delivery and getting new clients that the capacity to do this just feels minimal. And so today's episode, I want to help you just really think about, am I leveraging tech to work to my advantage? And what might I do to simplify? And what kind of questions might I ask myself? I know that none of you set out to create a mess, and some of you maybe are just figuring out, what tech do I really need inside of the business to grow at the level I want? And so that's what we're going to dive into today. And I don't consider myself a tech person. I've kind of fallen in love with tech because it allows me to get my life back. That's how I look at it. Is tech allows me to be more efficient, more productive, and more automated in the areas I want to automate, so that I can be more present in the areas that I don't want to automate. And I want to be fully, present in my business and make those touch points with clients. And so I think back to year one in my business 9 years ago, and the only thing I was using was Gmail. And then my clients were sending me money on PayPal. I don't necessarily recommend these things, by the way. I'm just telling you where I was. And that was it. That was all there was. I didn't have a website for several years. And I share all that because it can start messy and it can grow, and it can be minimal over time. And so then from there, what I decided to do about third year in, after I was headed towards my first 6 figures, is I actually did build my first website pretty much alone, using YouTube and some support from a friend. That was by the end of year 2. So I added a website. By year 3, I realized that website was kind of crappy and I needed help. So I used some of my investment, some of the money I'd made for the first year, and about 6 figures, and reinvested in a website. And then I've added things along the way. And some things people have said, you need this. And then I got it and I was like, this sucks. I don't need to spend this kind of money on these things. But my point being is, I've used things, paid for things that didn't work, didn't remember. And at the end, what I found is simple sticks. And I just want to help you kind of curb that process today. And so while you might be paying for lots of programs, I think the real cost to being over teched is you're losing time on manual tasks. You're losing money because you're spending time in these tasks and they're taking you way longer than either paying somebody or automating them. And so you're wasting time, money, plus obviously, the cost of paying for the tools. And so your tech could be eating your profit and time, and we want to help minimize that. So when I was shifting my coaching business from email coaching to in-person coaching, that's when I started to kind of layer on tech. That was, essentially 6 years ago, 7 years ago. And the next layer that I added on was learning how to use Zoom, which at the time was fairly new because all of this was pre-COVID when most people didn't even know what the heck Zoom was. And then I needed a booking software because clients were booking their sessions. I knew very quickly that I was wasting time manually trying to be like, when are you available? When are you available? And then sometimes they wouldn't show up. So I was like, this has got to be automated. So I realized that tech often comes because we want to solve a pain point. And I was the same. I was that Frankenstein tech person. And then I layered on, an email marketing system. And then I layered on another basically landing page system. And then I was like, wait, I got to have like a payment system that's better. And then a sales coach was like, no, you don't have a CRM. You need to do this. And then I needed a course platform. And then we added a project management tool and probably, I don't know, a few others that I'm honestly just forgetting. But every time someone like brought something to me or saw, I thought, oh gosh, I need to have this. This isn't important. And I was the person that I talked about in the beginning. I definitely felt like that was me. And so I realized at this point, I was probably making 15 to 20K a month, and the tech I thought was supposed to be helping me was actually pulling me into like the biggest drain and of energy. And so I had to do a full tech audit. Blech. It was like I didn't know where to start, like many of you. That's why I'm recording this episode for you. And so here's the things I actually looked at: what I was actually using, what was costing me time versus saving me time, what could be consolidated, and then what was worth keeping separate. And so I began to make changes, not all at once, but baby changes and fleshing things out. And I went from like, I just completely minimized my tech hour or my manual hours of doing things. And I was only using a few systems. So I wasn't bouncing all over the place. And I feel like I honestly just got my sanity back. And I got rid of tech that people suggested I use because it worked better for them. And so what I want to do is kind of help you audit your tech stack and then decide what needs to stay and what needs to go, what's in and what's out for 2026. So what I would personally first do, obviously you're listening, go do this right now. Listen to this part and pause and go do the thing. Or I would really encourage you to go back and do this on your own. But the first thing I would do is pull up all your bank statements and list every single platform that you're paying for, every subscription, every tool, everything. I think many of you are paying for things you don't know. I was doing this. So bonus, you're going to make money back from listening to this episode. I mean, I do this like once a year in my personal life too. I'm like, how are we paying for these subscriptions? I didn't even know it. And then once you have that listed, there's kind of like 4 key questions that I want you to ask yourself about each piece of tech. Okay, you ready? The first question is, would my business break without it? So for me, I was like, okay, how do I know if I really need this? Like, could I not function tomorrow if I didn't have this? And if it was a yes, I kept it. And the other went to like a maybe and a no, right? So you can start, maybe you even make 3 categories: heck yes, maybes, no's to start. Question 2, am I actually using this regularly? Like if you haven't logged in for a week or a month, then my question is like, why do you have it? You're probably wasting money. Just in case tech isn't necessarily for me the best tech to invest in. Number 3, could something I already have do this job? And I think oftentimes this is the case because multiple things can accomplish multiple things, or multiple platforms can accomplish multiple things. Of course, multiple things can accomplish multiple things. But you don't need that. So potentially that could be in the maybe or the no bucket. And question 4 is, honestly, is this saving me time or costing me time? Some tools are supposed to help, but actually create more work. I'm going to give you a great example of this. I'm not going to say the companies because I don't want to disrespect anybody, but I was working with my web designer and I had outgrown my CRM. I needed something that, honestly, this was during the auditing part. I needed something to be more all in one and eliminate lots of different things doing single jobs. It was overwhelming me. And so they suggested I go into this, essentially an email marketing platform that did a few other things. And from day one, I don't know why, I just like could not get it. It did not click with my brain on how it worked. And it wasn't folders, it was like these circles and you had to connect things. And it just like, it was really hard for me. And I kept forcing myself to use it because somebody else said it's really good. And then finally I just said, I can't do this. There has to be a different thing. And I went out and found an email marketing system that worked with my brain. Because part of this too is sometimes things feel overwhelming and we just want to give our power away and have somebody else go do it. And what I've learned is that is not a great choice, because if you just give it away, then you don't really know if they're doing the job that you need them to or not. And so how I know my brain works is platforms that work more in folders and size folders actually work really well, which is why for our project management tool, I won't say what I don't use, but I do love Monday.com because it works as an organization of folders. It's the same reason I use Google Drive for storage, is it works folders upon folders. So then again, I'm mitigating trying to learn all these different ways of things, and I am maximizing what works for my brain. So when you do this audit, then I think reasonably you can look at the monthly subscription costs, time spent on these manual tasks, time spent logging into different platforms, and it's going to show you pretty clear understanding of what you can get rid of and what you can keep. And then you want to identify the gaps, are you paying for 2 to 3 tools that are kind of doing the same thing, or tools that can't talk to each other, or tools you're just not paying for but not using? And then I think you can begin to repower and refresh your tech stack. Some gaps that I see in my world with my clients are they're using 2 to 3 email platforms. They started with one and then they switched to another and they haven't fully converted. So they've got their foot in 2 worlds, and we just have to close one out and be okay with knowing that you got all the emails from over there and let's move on. Multiple landing page builders, they have WordPress and they have this and that. A huge one is paying for a CRM that they're not using because they don't know how to use it, because they're not even doing lead gen stuff. Social media schedulers, I just don't like those in general. The algorithm, most platforms already say they penalize the use of them. Or here's another one, project management tools that they're paying for that they have one project in, or course platforms with no courses. So we just have to be honest with ourselves and go get some money back, and let's talk about what next. And this part I think about as consolidation versus sophistication, right? So when you've audited, you really have 2 options. You can go fewer, better integrated tools, or better tools in each category with proper integrations. For me, sophistication is, we can push that out the way for most of us. Consolidation is going to be better for 9 out of 10 of you. And I think this episode is also really well paired with who do I hire first. This was an episode I recorded, I think, in mid-2025, the last 6 months or so. So I think there is fruit here with understanding tech and also hiring, because I think you can do a lot of work with tech and then you can hire people to even help you with the tech. So I'm a strong proponent of hiring contractors that can do a specific job to get projects solved. And then from there, you can also hire more long-term support. What I have seen, and again, what I say on the podcast is based in real life experience and how I get my clients the fastest results. The shiniest, most expensive platforms are not the best fit typically. And what I see works really, really great for students is helping them eliminate and all these other platforms and going to an all-in-one platform. All-in-one platform means you can do email marketing there, you can build landing pages, you can do scheduling, you can collect payments. It can be potentially your CRM, and it can do course hosting, memberships, or whatever you want. For me, 8 out of 10 of my coaches, this is a best place for them to be. If you are a newbie listening to this, hands down, this is the best place for you. But if you are somebody that's wanting to scale in different areas, potentially there might be some supplementation. But in general, on all-in-one, a solid all-in-one platform, and I'm going to recommend one for you today, is such a great way to go because it's all in one place. You learn the system. So you're not having the learning curve of multiple platforms. And for the most part, for the level that you're working at, 100K to even 200K, that is sufficient. Beyond that, we might want to get more complicated and more fancy with some of our funnel automations and adding in other things that can help support the marketing efforts. And I'm going to talk about what some of those advanced things are. Had these tools been around when I started, I definitely would have been in on them. But WordPress was kind of like the place you built websites at the time. There wasn't these other options that were more streamlined, and there wasn't other places. So for me, I still have separate, but I would say I'm in the sophisticated place now where everything is seamlessly talking together. But for many of you, an all-in-one place is amazing. And the place I really highly recommend is a company called Shine Pages. It's female owned, which I love. But what I love even more, the owner, Robin, is just so heavily involved in the process because she built this platform for people like you and I. She built this platform for coaches who weren't that tech savvy, didn't really want to be that tech savvy. And so it functions kind of like Canva-esque, like drag and drop. And so you can build landing pages quickly for your workshops or your offers. The payment is there. You can build funnels in the back end. You can build different lists, like everything that I believe you would want to do, Shine Pages offers. And I have seen my students use this, and time after time again, they are delighted by the outcome. I love this. By the way, I stumbled upon this. I only recommend things that I fully believe in, and I've seen the work that Robin does with my students and her team of people. And as far as a tech company, it's very rare that you have somebody so hands-on, and Robin is that person. In fact, she actually is a part. She flew out to BDC Live. She'll actually be a sponsor of BDC Live this year. And I would just definitely encourage you to check out Shine Pages. I'm going to drop a link in my show notes right now. Because if you want to go check it out, Robin has a 14-day trial that you can use. If you end up signing up under my name, you're also going to get an extra full funnel already built out that you could attach to an email freebie or something that you wanted to create. And so when I suggest these kind of platforms, it's because I think they do, it just makes it easier for you. But what are the non-negotiables of what I think that you should have? I think absolutely some sort of scheduling tool to automate your tasks. So you're not hand scheduling so that reminders are getting sent out and you don't have to be a part of that. And I definitely think you need an email marketing system that is associated with your website. That email marketing is going to help you collect and grow your email list. It helps segmentation of your email list is such an important route. It's something I teach my students to understand. But again, I want you to own your audience. So you've already heard this episode this year of why I think email list growth should be a prime part of your strategy is because I want you to own the audience and I want you to be able to connect deeply to them and quickly to them. And a payment platform. Those are the things that I think are a necessity for tech. And I think you can do that honestly for a really simple penny. And it doesn't have to be fancy or complicated, especially if you're not building out fancy funnels. I think that beyond that, what are some nice to haves if you're going to use them? I think that if you wanted a place to store content, maybe call recordings or something to be able to provide to people or call content a library or video library, that might be something that you definitely could have, but that's a nice to have. And I don't think a course hosting or membership is a critical thing to have. The other piece that I think is a great to have as you grow is some sort of project management tool. I did not integrate this until, I don't know, 4 years ago. And I wish I would have started sooner because we didn't really have a truth in our business. And since then, Monday has been the place where all of our team interacts. I organize myself. I organize our promotional calendars, our marketing plans. I organize the podcast flow. So it's kind of like a little mini event planner for your business. And so we established that. I tried others. They did not work for me because, again, Monday works like folders inside folders, and then my brain sits there. But you might have heard of Asana or Trello. Those are also Notion, could also be those places. Again, you have to choose what works for your brain. So I always encourage people like go take advantage of the trial, the free versions, and begin to use them. Part of using tech is understanding there is a learning curve. So don't change all your tech at once necessarily, right? Layer them in and allow the need to develop. I, to this day, still don't use a CRM because I use my project management software as a CRM, right? So there's definitely places that I think that you can probably streamline and repurpose what you already have, and to make sure that it's just fully functioning. And if you need some support, again, contractors that you can find that can help you with like a specific project, like setting up your Monday account and getting the projects going, are really critical. I would say the last piece of tech, quote unquote, if you call it that, is Google Drive. People ask, where do I storage things? Like, how do I organize? Everything is done through Google Drive. Google Drive and Monday are constant tabs that are open on my tabs, and our content is all shared in Google Drive. Our communication and workflows are all in monday.com. And the thing is I know there's always going to be new, shiny, flashy things out there, but I feel really good about the knowledge and the availability of the tech that I do have. And I want to fully utilize something to the best, possible way. And I think it's really important that you think about that for sure. So I think if we were to break this down, let's do this. Let's break it down based on, content or revenue. I think at 5 to 10K months, the really the simple things that you need are website build out, email marketing, scheduling, and payment collection. Those are the core four. That beyond that, I don't think are necessarily until you start to maybe grow into 10 to 20K months. Perhaps at that point, I think that maybe if your payment platform isn't handling various scenarios, that might be something to integrate. And then at that point, you might start looking for, hold on, quick sip of water, a project management tool that can support you. And then beyond 20K months, you might start to want some sort of advanced email automation if your current email system doesn't do that. Perhaps at that point, you're starting to scale. So you want some sort of course or membership site, and you're going to double down on some sort of team collaboration and project management tools. And I think even at that level, what you don't need is 17 different tools, every shiny new platform, or tools that are just in case, or anything that you're just not actively using. And so if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I definitely need to make adjustments, then I just want you to know that migration is always inevitable. I don't want you to choose something at the highest level possible because you're like, someday I'm going to move into that. And then you're so overwhelmed by how it works that you don't use it, or you just like shut down. I've seen this happen a lot. So I would choose something that meets you where you're at, knowing that, yes, like I pray for outgrowing this. That's what I always say. Yeah, I pray that I outgrow this so much that I have to find a new strategy or something different. I wouldn't do mass migration into all the things because I feel like it's overwhelming. You lose things, you'll overwhelm yourself. And so I think, first just get rid of the dead weight that's not helping you and pick your core. And then, you can slowly begin to move things, like maybe start with email, which I think is super important. Maybe you shift your landing pages after that, or scheduling, or whatever order, but like move one thing at a time as they begin to infiltrate, as you begin to be able to see what makes the most sense for you now. So this week, I encourage you to do the audit, list the tools, find out what's working. And if you need help, I mean, I like tech is a part of this conversation. Inside the BDC, we help with these conversations all the time. Or if you're listening to this and you're like, I just got to reach out to Amanda and ask, then I am happy to have a conversation with you. Just reach out in my DMs over on Instagram. Shout out to Robin from Shine Pages, just because she always emails me after meeting my clients and is like, Amanda, just thank you for teaching your students how to do this well and right. Their messaging is clear. They know exactly what they want. And she's able to, rapidly help people at that end. And it's so great to have a relationship with Shine Pages for that as well. So again, your tech stack is supposed to be the infrastructure that supports your business and not the thing that eats all of your profit and your energy. And you're like, this is so overwhelming. And I think that this is such a great opportunity for you to think about what that is and how you can benefit, how you can get back time and energy to pour it into the things that matter, like your life and your clients and the results that they get. So until next week, go coach them up.